Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at, from the Transformers Wave 3 of War for Cybertron Siege, this is Brunt. Now before we get into Brunt, just a couple things I do want to mention. I don't know why I did this, but when I did my little review on the refractor figures, I actually had this gun positioned incorrectly, and that is important because there are little grooves on the side pegs of the gun that fit into slots. I shouldn't say there are tabs, little tabs that fit into grooves on the inside of the feet there. So when you do, if you do this spaceship mode, you want to make sure you have the shield part facing upward. It does help a little bit with the connection. Nothing too noticeable, but we are focusing in on Brunt. Now, Brunt, for those of you who are older fans like myself will remember, was a sentient tank that was part of Trypticon. And it did not transform into a robot. It disassembled and formed various pieces of Trypticon's city mode, most notably the tower. Well, this has been changed ever so slightly to where Brunt now is a weaponizer and transforms from a tank to a robot and then separates into various parts that the other robots can use. So this is Brunt in its robot mode. Not bad, not great. I'd say that it's better than Six Gun, but not as cool as Cog. But we'll get into more of that later. It's a darker purple color than I remember Brunt being on the original toy, and unfortunately the joints are a little loose depending on the quality of the figure you get. But so yeah, that's really about it for robot mode. We'll pause and get into the transformation. Okay, start the transformation of Brunt. What you want to do is close up the hands, the claws here. Bring the arms out to the side, just like so, with the claw part facing down and the treads facing down. And then you're going to collapse the arms inward, just like that. Kind of a stiff joint. Come around the back here. Remove the gun. Remove the backpack. Now, the instructions show you bending the knees slightly. It's pointless, so you might as well just remove the legs now and then bring this, flip the connector pegs up, and then just go ahead and peg this back panel on. Go ahead and rotate it around at the waist. Bring this peg forward slightly. Push the head back. Bring the whole chest section up, and it will click into place. So you have this little, like these eyes are peeking out over the top. Come in underneath, fold that peg up. Now, going to remove the arms just like so. And what you're going to do is swap them around. They're pretty much already in position. You want that little overlap piece going inward. And what you'll do is you'll peg that into the side peg right there. There's actually two pegs. You want to pop it in the uppermost one, where it was actually originally in robot mode. And there's like a little tab or something that will like sit in a groove towards the front right there of the arms. So that will like kind of hold everything in place. So you basically have the body of the tank done. The next step is you want to come in underneath one of these legs, flip out that connector peg. As you can see, there's the female receiving end, and you'll just bring them together like so. And then detach the little handgun, plug it in the end there. And then there's like slots on this turret that will receive the part. Oh, I did the wrong end. You want to actually do it from this end. And because this is how you know you're doing it right. There's that little peg right there will fit into a slot right there in the turret. So let's bring that down, just like so. It'll go up and down quite nicely, and then just come on the side here and plug that back piece in. And there you have Brunt in its vehicle mode. And it's okay. It's better than 6-gun, and not as good as COG. It rolls. What I like is the turret can actually go up and down and rotate. And actually, I can't bring it up any further. Oh, that locks. But there's your Triptychon tower. And for those of you who remember, that central part being the tower. But as we know with weaponizers, the big selling point is forming weapons. And unfortunately, this is where Brunt really doesn't do well. So we're going to go ahead, separate the turret, disassemble the gun. That forms one weapon. Put this together. This can form like a little handgun, or it can be part of like another weapon we'll see in a second. Separate the arms. Take that back plate off, the turret part, that becomes a shield with the arms here. You want to just go ahead and bring them around so this back section is facing up, and then telescope it down, and you got 1 foot. That's right, the arms are actually forming feet. And oh, I just screwed up here. The mushroom peg came off. I've had that happen before. It'll just slide back on, get into place, and then just like that, bring it down. So you got 2 feet. This section detaches, flip out the connector pegs, just like so. That can go a bunch of different things. And then what you do is you take this, flip down, this is the torso, flip down the handle, and then peg this in, and this becomes like a oversized handgun. Now, it's nice what we have, but I find myself like wanting the parts to do different things than they do. And also, I find them like where there's a peg, I want a hole, and where there's a hole, I want a peg. But I was able to come up with some of my own creations, and I'll show you one in just a second. The instructions show you a bunch more. So we'll pause, and we'll come back in just a moment. Okay, so here's something that I came up with. And this basically shows off like part of my issue. Like one thing I was really hoping to do is use these claws, sort of like Dr. Octopus uses his robotic arms, the tentacles, and maybe do some sort of walking mode. And you really can't pull that off. You can't even have them coming out from behind. You can have them coming over the shoulder, and that's one of the modes they show you in the instructions. But depending on the figure, it makes them very top-heavy. So I have them here on the side like grabber claws. And then basically what I did is I took the turret, the turret cannon, and combined it with the torso cannon and just made this super long deal, which I'm surprised this figure is holding it. The actual base of the turret, they tell you to use as a shield, and then I use the back section here to peg everything together. I mean, you can keep fooling around with it, coming up with other stuff to do. But like I said, ultimately, I was really disappointed. I still think 6-gun and COG do the weapon modes a lot better. I think there's just a lot more usable stuff with them. But in terms of the overall package, I think better than 6-gun, not as good as COG. And I guess you can say that's my final thoughts. Much like Refractor, I got this figure off of Amazon.com, which last I heard they actually are in stock right now and staying there. I don't know where Red Alert is, but hopefully he pops up sooner than later. So head on over there to get the figure, or you can wait for your usual retailer. But other than that, this is your old pal Chuck. For Brunt, we will see you next time.